Hi everyone, it's Natalia, and I love making nails for my friends, and today I've got something really special that we're going to be doing. We're going to be remaking a set of nails that were featured in a Monsta X music video worn by one IM, or Yin. So, let's go make them! So here are the nails that we're going to try to make. I'm going to be making this one hand here because it has more variety in the nails. So we're going to be doing sort of a green to black ombre, these black with the spikes. I got these little spikes off AliExpress. Then we have them in chrome and then in black. So they're in chrome over here. Then there's like a little 3D design over the ombre and on this nail. And then the thumb is the same as the pinky over here. It's a little easier to see here. It seems to have some sort of like green iridescent, green to purple iridescent. I picked this up. That could just be lighting, but I'm putting an iridescent on it, so that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna put that on the thumb. There appear to be, we gotta color the spikes black for the middle nail. And then, yeah, the thumb, I believe, has four little balls on it. 1 to 4, yeah. So we're going to be doing that. And then glossy top. So yeah, let's find out what we need. Let's go. So I'm going to be using quite a bit, but we're going to be starting with the soft gel, the Squoval Extra Short. That would be what I thought the size was. We have some clear 3D gel for the little balls. We have some white and black gel and a fluorescent green. We've got the metal spikes in silver and sort of like a gunmetal black. We've got chrome powder, iridescent powder. We have my old crazy top in both standard and thick. We have my little ombre palette here, but we're not actually going to be using it. We're going to be using an airbrush. Am I good at using an airbrush? Absolutely not. But the only way to get good at things is to keep trying. So here we go. We're going to be prepping the nails. This is pretty standard for any set. I'm sizing them out. I keep all of my friends' nail tip sizes in a little document on my tablet. And so I can easily pick them up. I find that I really love the soft gel tips. They're super strong. They do stick together in the pack, but that happens to anything. So you just gotta sort of whip them apart here. And then we're sticking them on. And we gotta move on to prepping the tip to be made. These are soft gel tips, so we don't need a base coat, which is nice. But first we do have to file off the little nubbin that comes on all of the nails. And then after we finish filing, we of course have to buff till they have a matte surface so that the gel can adhere properly to the nails. I think I started listening to Monsta X like pretty much the year they debuted. I didn't watch this because they performed on like a reality show, like survival show, and those things stress me out. So I never actually like watched what they come up with, but I really enjoyed their like debut Trespass, and so I just kept listening to them. And I have seen them in concert in Chicago a long time ago. It was such a great show, and I've just been very patiently waiting for them to get out of the military, and now they are, and their comeback was incredible. And as you see, I'm wiping these all off with alcohol because we are ready to start painting. But first, please always prevent getting gel allergies or contact dermatitis. Wear gloves. Please wear them. Wear them. It'll make your life easier. Trust me. Okay. So we're going to be doing a base coat here. So 2 of the nails are getting a green base coat and 3 are getting black. So the black ones, we don't have to mix anything. But I didn't actually have anything that was like that minty fluorescent green color in the original. But I did have a super bright fluorescent green gel and then just some white. So this is my pure white Born Pretty. And then this is like a fluorescent green by Yokefellow. The color's really nice. The brush that came in this bottle is horrific. It's terrible. It's a terrible brush. So I think I've never actually used the brush to apply it on nails. I always go in with a little oval brush like I'm using here. So I mixed those two up so it was about the right color. And then we're going to do one coat now on the pinky. Of course, there's a cat hair stuck in it, as is my lot in life. We're doing the pinky, and then we're going to be doing the index finger in the mint green as well. All 3 of the other nails are going to be getting black. What's happening with those? Whipping open the Born Pretty Pure Black, because I just have a huge bottle of it, so those 3 are getting that. And we're just going to do a nice, thin, even coat as the base color. The reason I'm doing the base color as black on all these is because one of them is going to be silver chrome, which looks better over black, and then the other ones are black, but one with iridescent. So that's easy peasy for a base coat. Give that a full cure, and then we're going in for a second coat. I always like to do 2 coats, even if the gel looks pretty opaque. Just, you know, I don't know. Just in case there's any like sort of thinner, especially when you're working with like cheaper gels like these are, it's nice to, you know, prevent any bare patches that might be hidden to the eye when you're looking at it under certain lights. Get that second coat on there. And then you're going to want to fully cure this, full 60-second cure, before we start on the next nails. Okay, send that under the lamp. All right, so we are going to start with the ring finger here. And we're going to be putting some, this is top coat that I use only for this purpose. We're going to be putting chrome on. So it's a very cheap, very thin, non-wipe top coat that I got on Amazon like 2 years ago. And we're just going to put a very nice thin, as even as you can coat, because any sort of unevenness will really show up in chrome. So you want to try to make it as smooth as possible. Okay. I even put it upside down just to let it settle. And then you're going to stick that under the lamp for only 30 seconds. So a half cure. So once we have that, we're pulling out a little sponge applicator and our silver chrome. And we're going to do the entire nail in chrome. Then I use a clean makeup sponge to just wipe any loose chrome off. And then that is looking nice and shiny. So we want to seal this before we go to the next step. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to first take a file and we're just going to file around the entire edge of the nail before we do base coat on it to seal it in. So grab a little file here, and just file around, just because we want there to be like gel doesn't stick to powder very well, so you want there to be like a little gap at the bottom, just barely perceptible to our eyes, so that it has a place to cling to seal everything in, so it won't chip. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on. This makes it super shiny. And then you want to stick it under the lamp for a full cure after removing the endless cat hair that living with a long-haired cat provides. Now we're going to be putting these bright silver little spikes on. I just got these on AliExpress. They were like $4. Like, it was really cheap. And now we can enjoy me struggle trying to get them out of the package. These are the most devilish little things to get out. So I tried like a rhinestone picker. Nothing. I tried these tweezers. They kept just absolutely sliding everywhere. I eventually tried to just like sort of scoop them out this way, and then just I do find a much better way to pick these up very soon. So I just scoop them out. Classic. Here we go. You're gonna need 8 of these for this. So I still don't have rhinestone glue, so I'm still using the Monbebe Crazy Top Thick. And here's where I figure out the actual right way to pick these up. So you're going to put a little dab. We're going to put it right in the center on the top of the nail. Boop, boop, boop. And then using that brush that has your rhinestone glue on it, you can now pick up them so easily to put them in place. And after each one's in place, after capping that so you don't ruin a $50 bottle of top coat, you just need to give it like a 5-second flash cure just so it doesn't move around while you put the rest of them on. And then we're going to put the rest of them on. So we're putting basically 3 along the top, 3 along the bottom, and then 1 in the middle on each side. So it's sort of like a border of spikes on these. And then flash curing after you put each one on. I really love how they very nicely Monsta X did. Each of them had like a really elaborate set of press-on nails. And for this, the Do What I Want music video, and they all very nicely posted pictures of their hands with them so that us nail enjoyers could enjoy them. I did try to find who the original artist was and was completely unable to find any information whatsoever. So if anyone does know who the original artist is, please let me know so I can link them in the description. Because clearly they're very talented and I absolutely loved their work. I'd say these were like the medium complicated of the nail sets. There were like some were a little bit more simple than others. I know Ki-hyun's nails were crazy. They had like wild attachments and things. But I really liked these, and I just thought they were so edgy and fun that I really wanted to make them. So after you have all these points on, you're going to put it in for a full cure to keep them in place. And this nail's basically done till we top coat everything at the end. So next up, I decided to go with the thumb. And this is struggle 2.0 for these nails. They took me through it. So I pull out this just cheapo little clear builder gel. But first, obviously, we have to put the weird, like the iridescent sheen on it. Because I couldn't tell if it was just lighting or if it was an actual iridescent sheen. But I figured to myself, why not go extra? Put the iridescent sheen on them. So I'm doing the same thing with the non-wipe top coat, the cheapo chrome top coat that I use. And we're doing the same thing that we did on the ring finger, where we're going to put as smooth a coat on this as we can, and then we're going to stick it in for a 30-second cure. Now we're grabbing some green purple iridescent powder. It's like mostly green. This one, it's sort of green teal with just like purple and some lights. So I covered this all off, and then I said, ooh, this is too much. This was too much. So what I'm doing now is we take a Q-tip with some alcohol, and we're just going to like scrub away some of it. So it leaves sort of like a streaky, iridescent, more like a grungy look to it. I'm not actually sure if this is what the nails were doing, but I think that it did turn out looking nice, and I think that's really what matters at the end of the day. All right? So you're just going to sort of grungify that till you're happy with it. And then we're going to base coat it. And since we pretty much scraped away everything off the edges, I didn't bother doing the filing on the edges of this one because there was enough there. So we're going to base coat this to prep to put the 3D little spheres upon it. So after a full cure, I have like a little nail form here because I was like, oh yeah, it won't stick to this. This is perfect. And I'm using like a metal dotting tool because this stuff, the 3D gel does come off of metal really easily. So I'm just pulling out a bit, and my plan is to just pull it off of this and roll it into a little ball to stick on the nail. The struggle began. I normally don't have this much trouble with the 3D gel, but today was not my day. I don't know if perhaps the vibes were off, if the temperature was weird, but it was like way more sticky and but also not sticky at the same time than it normally is. I don't normally have this much trouble with this. I'm just trying to put it into a little ball and stick it on the nail. So it's sticking to everything, and you'll soon find out the only thing it will not stick to is the nail. Yeah. I'm like, but I refuse to let it win. I've done more complicated things with this exact product before. So I'm going to alcohol up my fingers, and I'm going to try to stick it on. It now won't stick to anything due to the alcohol. I'm not one to give up very easily, but there was a point in me that I was going, do I think of trying something else? But no, finally, I got it stuck on, then it wasn't stuck on, then it was truly the curse today. So I'm putting cleaning off the nail just in case that'll help. And finally, I get it to stick. But if you recall back to the beginning, I determined there were 4 balls on this nail, which means I now have to do 3 more nails. That's okay. We're going to flash cure it to keep it in place because I finally got it into a circular shape. And then with great trepidation, I go back in for another ball. At this point, I've like semi-figured out what's going on vibe-wise, and I do manage to get this one on pretty easily, making it all that struggle on the first ball seem like, what was I doing? That went so easily. And then things are, I'm thinking, well, the second one was so easy, so the last 2, I know it will be simple. We're going to flash here that second one into place. And it's time for ball number 3. I'm varying the size of these because they did have like different sizing in the original ones. So I go to roll and yeah. Let's just say, after I finished this, I did change gloves. Which won't be the last time I say that in this adventure. We get the third ball on there. We, with my silicone tool, moved around into place. I found this sort of like the spheres on these nails really interesting. They seem sort of incongruous with the rest of the nails, but I did like them. I thought they were very funky looking. And then we're going in for the final little ball. Which didn't want to stick down, but I did win in the end. So fully cure that, and now we're going to move on to the middle finger, which is the black nail with the black spikes. So I have these sort of like gunmetal spikes, and doing the exact same thing that we did to put the spikes on in the first nail, we're going to be doing 2 rows on the topper and the middle parts of this nail of 3 spikes. So 2 rows of 3 spikes using the Jinbei Crazy Top Thick, but I'm doing 2 at a time so that I can evenly space them while I'm doing it. Just save some time. Now, when I decided I wanted to make these, so it's a little behind the veil of how I pick designs for my friends. I have like a little private nail Discord chat with them where we just talk nail stuff because we all love nails. And so I had posted a picture of IM's nails, and I was like, hey guys, I really want to make these for a video. Does anyone want them? And then one of my friends was like, ooh, I would wear those. And so basically it was a first come, first serve on who got these nails. And that's how basically we pick out a lot of designs for my friends on these. So we're doing the second row on the side. As you can see, I've really perfected my picking up the spikes technique. And I'm just using the end of my brush there to move them around to get them into place. Do a little quick flash cure. And then we're doing the final 2 nails. Now you'll notice that these spikes aren't black, but I will be fixing that in the next segment. So we got those stuck on. And then after you have everything in place and you do a quick flash cure so that they don't move when you're putting them in the big lamp, put them in the big lamp to cure for all the way. Now, I, for some reason, was struck with madness and decided to try airbrushing. Airbrushing I am really bad at, but the only way to be kind of good at stuff is to be bad at stuff at first, you know? And I could have used my new ombre palette, which in retrospect would have probably been quicker, easier, and less frustrating. But I didn't. So you see me pulling this out immediately on my fresh, clean gloves, getting gunk all over them. Now mixing up the thinner and the black. I know that some people do like a mixture of acetone and gel, but the concept of, aerosoling gel in my house, just, I don't love it. So I just use airbrush paint. Now my airbrush, despite my best efforts of cleaning it and stuff, it has a bit of a sticky trigger. So I'm constantly fighting with getting the right pressure on it, which becomes a struggle. So first we're going to do the easy one where I'm just airbrush painting over the spikes to turn them black. Didn't have to work too hard at this. There's no real skill. You cover them. We're good. Easy. Then the ombre began. We're going from the bottom, from the cuticle ombre to almost the top. So we're trying to get the right pressure here. Okay. And to my credit, when I first started, it was going pretty good. I was getting like a nice, and then, yeah, the nice coverage sort of ended right there. But the nice thing about using like this airbrush and the airbrush paint is you can just take a little bit of alcohol while it's still wet and absolutely wipe everything away. And if it does dry and you don't like it, you just put a tiny bit of acetone and wipe it right away. So we're going to try again, getting the pressure. Now, I will be completely honest with my airbrushing opinions towards if I think that this set turned out well. It could be better, but they look nice. That's all that matters. So we're doing like an aura ombre with the black for the pinky. I thought that looked good enough. And then I'm going back in to try to raise the ombre up further because I didn't think I brought it up high enough. And so I brought it up higher. And I feel like any sane person would then say, yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough. But I'm not happy, clearly. So I stare at it and then I go, yeah, I'll try a little bit more. The too much gene really affects a lot of us, doesn't it? But finally I say enough, and then I will let those dry while I clean the airbrush and change my gloves again. Okay. So after letting those dry and cleaning the airbrush fully, we're pulling out the base coat because we want to base coat all of these before we do anything else in them so the airbrush paint stays without being wiped off by accident. So I'm just base coating pretty much everything just to make sure everything's got a nice little layer and is nice and smooth. To be honest, I think if I were to do this set again, I would probably just use an ombre, the ombre palette. I think I would have a little bit more control, but I gotta keep working at the airbrush stuff, you know? So I'm just base coating everything to smooth things out, to prep for the finishing of the nails. We're gonna fully cure that. And now we have to do the white lines that are featured on the pinky and the index finger. I'm just using the white from the Nail and Yali palette that I am obsessed with. This stuff does work really well, but it is very thick, so it can be a little tricky, and it's very pigmented. Now for the pinky, it had like these two half moons with connected. I'm not sure what this style of you know, like abstract line art is, but it seems very popular these days, and I struggle with it. But I like how it looks. Like it sort of has it's a very sort of slinky vibe to it. So this one we're doing a mirroring of these two half circles with connected lines on them, on diagonally across from each other on the pinky. And I'm going to quickly flash cure between both of them so I don't mess up the one that I'm happy with while I work on the next one. So I would just do like two straight lines and then I fill out the curves after instead of trying to start with the curves. And then if you mess up, just take a little bitty Q-tip with some alcohol on it and you can just wipe away any little mistakes, which I do often. And then once you're happy with your design, you just cure it to stick her in place. Give it a flash cure, and then I stick it under for a full cure. And then after that, we're going to be doing the ring finger. Now this one had sort of like, they're almost like, they have the shape of sort of stylized flame lines, but sort of this same like abstract, just sort of blob, swirly, serpentine shapes to them with like varying widths that come out to points. I don't think I did exactly the same ones that they had on the nails, but I feel like I got the essence of what they were putting out. Also, I'm pretty sure that the nails that I'm working on are smaller than his nails. So the actual space that they take is a little different to fit all this stuff in. I actually found that to get like a really like sharp point on these, it was actually very helpful to use like a little micro Q-tip dipped in alcohol to sort of like drag it to a point. Like, so it's like you're clearing it away, but it also, since it drags a little bit behind, it also leaves things in like a really nice point. And so that was super helpful for me. I don't know if that would be something that you might want to try, but especially for these like thicker, like more pigmented gels, it worked very nicely. This is sort of like, the way I can sort of describe the shape that I'm drawing right now is like an H being sucked into a wormhole, like the letter H. That's kind of what it looks like to me. And then again, I'm going to be using like the micro Q-tip to clean up some lines and to sort of drag the lines into a sharper point. We're just going to do one final little swoop here off to the side. Definitely with these, like, I think a lot of the trick is, like, varying line weight to make it more visually interesting. So adding, like, sort of more curves to them that sort of balloon out a little, I think is what makes these look, and then going real thin in some parts to add some, like, nice asymmetry and, you know, variety. They're very interesting shapes. I wish I knew what this style was called. If someone does know, please let me know. And then when you're happy, fully cure those. Because the final thing we have to do on this nail is we have to add some of the little spikes along the cuticle line. So we're going to be putting 4 spikes on the cuticle line. I'm using, my spike set came with 2 sizes, so I'm using the smaller size for this one. And I'm using sort of the gunmetal ones. So I'm going to be putting 2 at a time to sort of like to form the 2 center ones. And then we're going to very quickly flash cure those once I get them into the right place. Boop, boop. It's good to like turn them into different, like to look at them from all different angles to make sure they're in the right place before flash curing them. And then we're going to put 1 on either side of each of them. And then once it's in place, give it a really quick little like 5-second flash cure just so it doesn't move. And stick the last one on. And then once you've got the last one in place and you do your quick little flash cure to keep it from moving around, sliding around, stick it under the lamp for a full cure. Now it's time to top coat. This is a 2-step top coating process today. So this first step is taking the Jinbei Crazy Top Standard, or your favorite medium viscosity top coat, and top coating everything. Make sure that you top coat over the spikes. There's like a sort of a 2-point reason for this, in my opinion. 1, it makes them slightly less pointy, so they're less dangerous to actually wear. And secondly, it'll prevent them, especially the ones that haven't been painted over, it'll prevent them from getting tarnished. Because they'll have like an extra coating on them. This is why like a sort of a medium viscosity or a thicker is sort of top coat is what I would recommend for this. Mostly because it'll cling to the spikes a little better. You want to give everything like a nice even coating. Make sure to get all the edges. And with these balls, you want to top coat over all of them and get in between them as well. It'll make them nice and shiny. And it'll just, you know, protect them a little better. And it also helps to sort of secure them a little bit more. So if they get like knocked or something, they won't wrench off, which would be very, very tragic. And then once you've got everything nicely covered, what I like to do, as always, is to turn them upside down and hold them upside down for like 15 to 20 seconds, and then stick them under the lamp for a full cure. Now we have one final thing. We're doing a 3D accent on the pinky nail because it had like some 3D like swoops. So we're picking up some Crazy Top thick, and then we're sort of letting it hang to solidify into a bead at the bottom of our brush. Just a little, any liner brush will do. And then you want to sort of goop it onto the nail, forming like a little bead, and then pull it into a little point, swooping along. And we're going to be doing 2 of those. The little goop. Turn it upside down to collect into a bead. Stick it onto the nail in a little glob. And then pull it along into a little swoop. Hold it upside down and then cure it. And since that's it, this is the set of nails. I think I did an okay job at recreating them. Let me know what you think. They were a little time consuming, and I think if I did them again, I wouldn't go for an airbrush, but as you know, as I said, I like practicing. But yeah, I think they turned out well, and I showed a picture to my friend and she loved them. So anyway, I will be back next week with another video. So thank you for watching this one. Please leave me a like and a comment. Maybe subscribe if you want to. And maybe check out Monsta X's new album. All right. See you next time. Bye.